Cool, man. Awesome, Buck. I love it. All right, rather than me explain it, Buck, explain the revive method in 30 seconds or less. Put you on the spot. Heck yeah, that's perfect. Good job, Buck. Yeah, I love it. And guys, if you want to go deeper, this will be a good time to chime in here, and then we're going to get started. I just let Mike into the chat. Mike is my rock star VA. He's going to be sharing with you in a second. But Mike, you should turn on your video too, man, if you can. But anyway, so guys, but before I go there, so back to Buck's point, the revive method, I shared exactly like how the talk tracks, like the transcripts, I shared exactly how we calculate it, because I have this little Google sheet where I basically, because I don't know if you guys, has it been simple enough when I simplified it, you think, Buck, when I shared that Google sheet? Was that able to simplify it enough? Good. All right. Buck said, okay. Got it. Okay. Yes. Yep. Buck nailed it. So appreciate that. So guys, where you could find this is you guys go to problemstoprofits.com. And I'm sharing this right now, and I'll probably say it again, but this is for people who are watching the recording. And guys, if you want these resources, because a lot of times people are like, oh man, how am I going to go get that? I need that information. Go to problemstoprofits.com, and at the very top of that page, you're going to see the passive investing playbook. It's one of the first buttons, okay? So click on that. That's going to bring you to my passive investing playbook. So I have a full section just on the revive method, and I go through like all these different calls, like if you want to see how to like talk through it. And the other thing I'm adding today, guys, and I apologize, I've been telling you I had it for a couple weeks. I realized that it wasn't published, so my VA is fixing it. On here, I'm going to share all the resources, right? So the Revive Method Calculator, our LOI template. Like, guys, I've always been happy to share my LOI templates because not only I put our company name on it, so people can like go Google us. And you guys anyone is welcome to use one of these LOIs to help go make an offer, right? And then I also share YouTube videos, right? I've tried to keep all my testimonials like up to date. That way you can go in there and see those. So anyway, if you want access to this, go to problemstoprofits.com, and you're going to click on my passive investing playbook. That's where it's all free. I just wanted to put it in one place because honestly, I was trying to share it every week in the Facebook group, and we know how hard things are to find there, which the Facebook group is phenomenal, but I wanted to make it a little bit easier. So again, problemstoprofits.com, click on passive investing playbook. And when you're there, guys, let's say, actually, we're already in 2025. So if you're watching this here in a couple months, you're going to be able to see on that website, we're going to do face-to-face workshops. Because my goal, I didn't share this yet, but I try to share it every week. My goal, guys, I worked in oil and gas and as a W-2 employee for 12 years. And my goal is to help 100 people create passive income and be able to have what I was able to create, right? I worked my W-2 job, hustled in real estate, started buying rental properties, right? But not everybody wants to do all that. But basically, I want to help 100 people achieve their passive income goal. So we're actually going to be doing workshops in 2025. Oh, I got to mute everybody. All right. I was a little fast. I'm getting a little faster on the trigger. Anyway, back to it, guys. So I'm going to be doing like face-to-face workshops here, and probably the first one's going to be here in Houston, and we're working on a date. It's either going to be February or March, but we're going to be doing those ongoing. So if somebody is watching one of these recordings, I definitely encourage you to go to the Problems to Profits website, because that's actually just a sub-page of my website, and you'll be able to see our upcoming events, and maybe we can get together in person. All right, let me see if I can get Mike back in here. He got kicked out, so I'm going to let him back in. So if we could let Mike just come in just for a second, I'm just going to let him share a screen with the community, and then I'll make sure Mike hops off the call. So Mike, hop back on. All right. I'll let him in. Okay, Mike should be able to hop back out. If not, we're going to be in trouble because Mike, guys, I have delegated this off, and Mike does a great job at basically running our direct-to-seller. So while we're waiting on Mike, I'm going to tee this up, okay? You guys ready for it? Thanks for sharing that website. Let me go check out the chat. Thanks for sharing that link in there. All right, here's Mike. I got to let him in here. All right, so Mike, I'm going to let Mike share his screen right now. So Mike, I'm going to have you first off share with the team. Let me tee this up, Mike, and then I'm going to let you go. Okay? So guys, we're going to show you how to go from like up here. I talk about my outbound marketing, right? So if you're looking up here, I'm not sure how well everybody can see it, but once we go get a list, we use Prop AI. That is our platform to do cold calling, right? It's AI cold calling. We use Launch Control for texting. That's how we do all of our outbound texts. And then we're also doing the email. We're working on actually on a new email blaster because you're going to see when Mike shows you, we get the seller's phone number, email, and obviously their property address when we go and skip trace it, okay? And the last thing is the LOI blaster. So I'm working on all 4 of these marketing channels, and we're actually doing it within my No One Left Behind team, which if you guys are not on a team or your team ever fizzles out, please reach out, because like I said, we've got probably 10 to 20 different sub-2 students who came on and joined us. But today I'm going to show you, like, how does the process work? What are the buttons that Mike pushes to get all these messages and calls going out? Because the goal is, by the time Mike sets all this up, the goal is I'm going to have students that are helping me. They're actually going to be working the leads once somebody replies to the text message, or once the AI cold call gets wrapped up. They're going to go look at the transcript and figure out, hey, should I follow up with that person? Is that actually a motivated lead? Or did the AI do a really crappy job and that could be a possible lead, so I want to call them? Okay? All right, Mike. Hopefully Mike's still on here. Mike, you want to share your screen really quick? All right, welcome in, Mike. Mike, tell everybody where you're from. Cool. Thanks, Mike. All right, really quick, Ashley in the chat, will you share my email so people can reach out if somebody is interested in joining our team? We'll get you that information. You just got to email my email that Ashley just dropped for me. But guys, before Mike gets started, my favorite part about Mike, I don't know if you guys could tell a little bit of that accent. It wasn't quite all from Pakistan. If you guys noticed a little bit of British or English accent, anybody else catch that? I was letting Mike cold call for a while, and I was listening to Mike's calls, and I was like helping coach him. I'm like, where in the heck is this Pakistan British accent coming from? And it was just cracking me up. But anyway, I'll see if you guys hear it as you're going. Actually, once I say that, you're not gonna be able to unhear it. But anyway, Mike does a great job. He works. My favorite part about Mike is, like, he takes initiative and he runs with this stuff. So he's one of my best VAs. And anyway, Mike, I had to give you a hard time there. Take it away though, buddy.
The number used last time was the carrier name. If it's a wireless and a mobile number, and it's a very important part to differentiate between both, because if we are running an SMS campaign, we don't need landline numbers, and if we add
let's pause. Yeah, let's pause there. So great job so far, Mike. So I'm gonna let you guys ask questions. So if you guys, I want to explain how exciting this is. I know Rand just mentioned. Rand's like, hey, I want to do more direct to seller versus direct to agent. Guys, what I should have highlighted this more. What I'm sharing with you guys today is how you go direct to seller, right? I know a lot of people in their No One Left Behind teams are doing direct to agent, and I do it as well. That's a whole nother section of my, like, how we go get deals done, right? But what we're showing you guys today is exactly how do you get direct to seller leads, right? Without having to, like, I'll show you later how to go direct mail, and that's a lot more expensive. But guys, this is a way with low cost for you to start basically getting in front of, like, thousands of people at once. So to give you guys a little perspective, that was Deal Machine that we just showed you. Deal Machine is where Mike went through, pulled the filters, and got the data and got it all skip trace. We pay $99 a month for Deal Machine. So if anybody is interested and wants to be able to get a good price around that, please go to problemstoprofits.com and go to that Bighorn Capital. Go to my passive investing playbook. I've got some referral links there for you guys. And also another thing I'm excited about, Pace, if you guys haven't heard, Pace and them and Justin Timanowski, they're rolling out Deal Sauce. So I can't wait to try that out. We might actually be supplementing. Maybe we might be doing double the data, right? Or maybe we'll go there. But for now, I wanted to show you guys, like, what am I doing right now and what are we doing in the future? Okay. So guys, ask any questions though before, so to recap, we've shown you how to go use Deal Machine or whatever, maybe use PropStream. What I like about Deal Machine, guys, is we skip trace it at the same time. Because typically, from what I understand about PropStream, is you're going to go pull all the data, but then you got to go find a skip tracer. And then they charge you whatever, 5, 10. Guys, when I first started, it was like 14 cents to skip trace. We're now skip tracing all these and pulling all that data for $99 a month. I'm hoping that's clicking with you guys. Like, literally $99 a month. And how much data do we get for $99 again, Mike? We get 10,000 records, guys, for $99 a month. And all those records are all skip traced. So, like, literally, and now we're going to show you how we start, like, go and get in front of all those people. But I'm going to go to the questions really quick and make sure I didn't miss anything. Yep, a lot of people are talking about that's all they had at the last challenge was just direct to agent. And you select, okay, really quick, and you select with the data and export. Yep, exactly. Yep, Chris, you're right. So you guys see how fast that was for him to go. Again, Mike just pulled one little area. You could pull whatever filters you want, right? And if you guys want to dive deeper in that, we can. But we wanted to keep it moving as far as how to pull the data and then all the information you get. Okay? Let me make sure I got all the other questions. Are there pre-foreclosures or just properties, right? Yeah, so James, this is everything, right? Pre-foreclosures is just one of the filters. We can also do tired landlords, right? A lot of the other sort of motivated lists, you could pull all of them. Cool. Somebody else just mentioned, Jeff mentioned using Deal Machine. Yep. Yeah, so that's what Keith said. Keith said he's currently paying 13 cents to skip trace. Again, there's no cost to skip trace. You're just paying $99. Yep, and the data's not great. Cool. So, yep, this is Deal Machine for you guys. And again, this is the one I'm using, and it's going well. I mean, I'll give you this caveat, right? I don't want to oversell anything. There are definitely plenty of these numbers that don't work, right? And we're actually working on iterating with Deal Machine to make sure that we're getting better data and better phone numbers, because, I don't know, Mike could probably share the numbers, but like out of 10,000, how many actually are we reaching? Actually, Mike probably knows that number. Cool. And I'm going to pause while you're pulling that up, Mike. So, guys, to slow it down, because I know Mike talks fast, and I learn fast, but you guys are probably, some of you guys probably never seen this. So, again, we showed you how to go pull all the data, right, from Deal Machine. You could also use Deal Sauce. Somebody mentioned, is it better than Deal Sauce? I cannot wait to use Deal Sauce, honestly, and Deal Sauce might be way better. I just haven't got a chance to use it all, but I'll definitely let you guys know. But and honestly, I'm going to be a big proponent of Deal Sauce if we can make it work. So that's how to get all the data right now. What Mike just showed you is Launch Control. Launch Control is our texting platform, right? So as mentioned up here, we use Launch Control. We take all that data. Now we can go text all those people in bulk, right? Is anybody out there using any other texting softwares that they're having success with? Texting is kind of it's definitely a dying marketing channel, but we've still had some success. I think I answered all the questions there, though, Mike. I'll kick it back to you. But really quick, there was one other one. Oh, man, good point. Jeff asked, why not use the Deal Machine dialer versus Prop AI dialer? Yeah, we have not used the Deal Machine AI dialer. So I'd be curious, have you had success with it, Jeff? Because we might need to try that as well. And I haven't looked at the additional cost. But that's a really good point. Let's write that one down. Mike, Mike, don't let me forget to look into that. Go ahead. Oh, it's baked in. Cool. Yeah, so my thought is we're going to do both. Heck yeah. I just learned something. This is why this community is so cool. So, Mike, we're going to have to start cold calling with Deal Sauce, with Deal Machine. Cool. And just to pause it one more time, Mike. So, guys, we have to, when you're mass texting, you have to integrate like phone number, because you got to have multiple numbers to text from, otherwise you'll get blocked, right? And then you got to have multiple messages. Right, so we have typically 10 different templates, and you got to make sure that you don't say key trigger words that'll get you blocked, right? So like purchase or sell, or like you got to be careful. Cash, yep. So you got to be careful not to use some of those words, and that's what Mike's showing you. And we actually use ChatGPT. Mike has nailed it. Mike uses ChatGPT now to come up with our messages because guys, it's all about that first message you send to the seller, and hopefully you get a response. But go ahead now, Mike, we've sent. So Mike turns it on. Sends out let them know how many messages a day, Mike, that you send out, and then let's show them what they start to look like. Love it. Hey, I'm going to answer a couple of these questions here, because these are really good. So yeah, I love Laura's message. Confession, I literally have Deal Machine, PropStream, and LOI. I assume that means LOI Blaster. One goal is to become savvy, try to learn how to use all of them and take action to get a deal, right? So, I would say this, Laura, you probably don't need PropStream to add to that. And the LOI Blaster, you know what? You could run them side by side. The LOI Blaster you could run to hit direct to agent. The LOI Blaster combined with PropStream is a good idea. But this is direct to seller. So to go direct to seller, you're just going to do Deal Machine, and then we're showing you how to do like a texting platform. And then we're also about to show you in a second how we also go cold call all those people, right? And then the last thing we're trying to integrate is how we email them. Because actually, not only did we get their phone number, we got their email. Okay? So a couple of questions. I'm going to keep answering them here. Mike, we'll pull this up at the end, right? And we'll show you some of our KPIs from 2024 and how many leads we got and how many deals we actually closed and what revenue it brought in from cold calling. From both. Well, we use the same data to cold call, and we text it, and then we're actually not. We're just launching an email campaign, but we also send direct mail and all that stuff too. Okay, are these leads personal, or do they have shared leads? I'm not sure what that one means, Moises. These are data that we used, and I share it with my team, right? Because we have a team that helps us close deals. But this is just our data in our company. I think that's good. All right, Mike, so go ahead. So you kind of explained how we send out the message, how you qualify it. So really quick, though, I will share with you guys. on my team, I'm going to have somebody, I've had Mike that's doing this right now, who's been showing you guys how to do all this. My goal is for Mike just to tee all this up, and I can have a student going in replying, because you guys are going to know how to reply. I mean, there's a whole lot of, okay, we do this. This is funny, guys. Mike, have you got any good ones, any funny ones off the top of your head? If not, well, we do on our team meetings. We meet every day for 30 minutes, and on Wednesdays, we try to bring in the funniest text message that somebody replies, because you get quite a bit of hate and some people just messing with you. So anyway, it's texting, right, guys? There's a whole lot of, you send out 10, what do you say, 1,200 messages a day. I mean, we're hoping to just get a couple leads that turn into appointments from that. But anyway, our goal, though, my goal is to have some of you guys as students helping us out and filtering through all this, right? Because it's tedious, but here's the thing, guys. You could go cold call all day long, right? And just hoping to talk to somebody. Well, in this thing, you get a cold call them all at once. It drops all these text messages, and then you could filter through who actually responds positively, right? But go ahead. I'm going to kick it back to you, Mike.
If you guys are interested, and if they are, they let them know that they're going to receive a call from our acquisition manager, and it's going to populate in callback request. And since none of the persons said that they are interested in selling, so they're not coming up over here. This is how our Prop AI works.
Yeah, cool. Good job, Mike. So to answer a couple questions and take another little break here. So guys, again, I'm back to Prop AI. We're one little low-hanging fruit I've found is like, there's probably going to be more than one. Like, for example, he found a callback request there. They made 184 calls, right? But here's the kicker, guys. It's AI, right? And somebody asked if you can do AI cold calling. At this moment in time, yes, you still can, right? Who knows as things change. But again, we've got the do not call list and all that different ways to mitigate risk. But anyway, what I want to have students do is like go through some of these call summaries, because I bet there's some call summaries that if you went and looked at the transcript, you'd be like, oh, wow, you know what? That person actually may have been interested in selling. The AI just didn't do a good enough job or wasn't personable enough, all right? But I want somebody to be able to go through these transcripts. Like, obviously, if they say, put me on the do not call list, we're not going to call them, right? But if it was somebody who seemed open, but they didn't end up getting to booking, because I guess backing up a little bit, guys, listen to this here. So the goal of all this outbound marketing is to get to booking an appointment, right? Mike's number one goal is to get an appointment booked with a closer, right? As you guys know, as newbies and people in the No One Left Behind challenge, your goal is to book leads with your closer, right? So what I'm showing you guys right now is how are you going to book off-market deals? Because you guys have heard me preach about this, and I'm sure if you've ever called a direct-to-agent and a direct-to-seller lead, it's a lot different. The negotiation is a lot different. You have a lot more potential when you're talking to a direct-to-seller and there's no agent involved, because you're talking to the source, right? So the ultimate outcome, guys, of this is we want to get calls booked with motivated people. So hopefully this shows you guys like how to kind of start and get to it. And then I'm going to answer a couple questions. But Mike, is there anything else you wanted to show them with Deal Machine? Yeah, got it. Let's answer a couple questions now. And then Mike, in the meantime, I want you to pull up our KPIs and our marketing metrics in Resimply. And you can kind of show people like, what is the outcome? What does this all lead to? So I'll answer Mott's question. Seems like a very low conversion rate for all that outreach. What problem are you trying to solve, help the seller with, right? So as far as the problem, it all depends upon, like, if it's a pre-foreclosure list, it's a pretty obvious problem. We're trying to get them out of foreclosure, right? If it's, a tired landlord is another list that we're actually just trying to find landlords that don't want to be landlords anymore and they want an option to sell off market, right? So each list obviously has a different problem to solve. But guys, that's down the line, right? Right now, we are simply just trying to find somebody who's interested, who has some motivation to sell, right? And then at that point, we're booking them on a call with the closer, right? So myself, or on our team, we're actually having some people that are a little bit more seasoned and experienced. They're the ones taking the actual like appointment, right? So guys, it's a really good question though about like, this is a low conversion. But guys, think about this. 1,200 people via text message a day. We're hitting another, 2,000 people via phone. How much? Yeah. So we're potentially hitting 3,000 people a day, right? And again, if I get 5 appointments booked out of 3,000, again, that's a tiny percentage, but guys, that's 3 seller appointments that you're talking directly to the seller. And the reason I'm sharing this with you guys is like, I know this when I first started. I'm like, how do I actually get on the phone with motivated people, right? Without having to go pay $300 or $500 from a lead. And that was another question somebody had. They said, well, when you get this data, is it just your data or is it shared amongst everybody? So the data from Deal Machine or Deal Sauce or PropStream, that's all public data. That data is not restricted. If you buy that, but again, we're buying, what was it, 10,000 a month, 10,000 leads a month, right? That's definitely not, and we're paying $99. So everybody has access to that, right? But what we're doing is we're using this texting and AI cold calling. And as Mike mentioned, we also have actual people in Egypt that are making calls. These are like live calls from people, right? Guys, I'm just telling you, okay, let's state it a different way for you guys. Cause some people are probably thinking about, I want to be a cold caller. How many of you guys out there have like wanted to be like, my first step is I want to cold call? I know I've had a lot of people reach out. They're like, hey, I just want to get on the phones and do it, right? So what I've learned from experience is if you go put a newbie person on this list, the same list that Mike pulled, it's just, they're going to get worn out. It's not a whole lot of fun. You're going to spend 90% of your time is just going to be dialing instead of talking, right? So what I've just decided to do and works better for me is I'm going to have my VAs or my people in Egypt, I'm going to have texting and I'm going to have AI go through, then they could spend all that time just trying to get a hold of somebody. We just want to get somebody who somewhat raises their hand. And then we can get in and start diving deeper, right? Versus giving a brand new freshman person a list to go cold call. Like I'm just telling you guys, it'll wear you out and it's a great way to start. But what I've done is let's let the AI do that or the texting. And then here's what I do is I have some like hotter lists, which are like, maybe it's my deals that are like, for example, it's all written here. I keep pointing back to my whiteboard. What I give my team for like the newbies who just want a cold call, well, I've got a niche list, right? My niche list is like, that might be a driving for dollars list of people that are like have a really rundown house that we feel like that's a good one to call, right? Or I have another list that's called inherited data. Inherited data, like every time we get this in Wyoming and Montana, and it may sound morbid, but we come from a approach that we're trying to help. We get a list of all the people who have passed away in the last 30 days, and we get all their descendants. And then I'll have people cold call that list and be like, hey, this is Casey. I'm really interested in the house at 123 Main Street. I'm not sure if you have any relation to it, but if you do, I'd love to help because honestly, I'm looking for another fix and flip or another rental property. And do you think I could help you? Right? We approach it from how do we help you? And that's another list that I would give a newbie or a freshman that list to call because it's more targeted, right? And the last one I haven't mentioned is the warm leads, right? Like I have an entire CRM of deals because I've been doing this for 4 years of people that they said they were interested, but they just weren't really that motivated. But at some point, they're going to want to sell, right? I guess I have hundreds of those leads. And those are the leads. That's a list that I give to our newbies to where the freshmen can go and they can start calling those leads, be like, hey, because what I show, they get access to our CRM, which we'll show you here in just a second. But I give the newbie person, he gets this list of all these leads. And so, okay, he's got a lead on 123 Main Street that we called a year ago, and they said that they weren't motivated right now, or maybe let's say that this lead was they were going to wait until next year. They thought they'd be moving to a different town. So we said, all right, follow up with them in a year, right? But we keep notes of all those people. So what I do is I give the newbies those lists so they can go call actual people that we've talked to before, right? That's far and away probably the best list to go call because it's just a follow-up list, right? Okay, I was talking for a lot there. I want to look at the questions here. But then I do want to let Mike share. Mike, do you want to share your screen on the KPIs for Resimply? So let's drive this point home, and then I'll go back to the questions. So guys, this is all of last year, I believe. So let's go down to SMS. So you see SMS Blast down there. That cost, I'm not sure if it's fully accurate, but we generated $500,000 in revenue from this. But let's look at it. We generated 500. This is over 12 months, guys. These are all the deals we closed, right? We generated 551 leads from texting last year. Of those, 215 were qualified, and we booked 209 appointments. So, right, that puts it in perspective, guys, that and what we call a lead is somebody who's actually interested in selling. But out of all that texting, we generated 209 appointments, right? So those are people we actually got on the phone that have motivation to sell. So that's not, or I don't know, that might be a lot or might be a little, depending on your reference. But I wanted to show you guys, like, yes, it's a lot of, like, we're talking about like I don't know, probably less than 1% conversion on this data. But if we get 222 leads, it's worth it, right? And the last point I was trying to make earlier is you can go out there onto like need to sell my house fast and motivated leads. There's website that will just sell you leads for like $200 to $300, and you could do that strategy and just go pay $200 to $300 and talk to people who actually want to sell their house. But this is just another way of generating leads. Okay, and then the last one is I wanted to go to cold calling, Mike. So cold calling at the top, let's see how we did last year. So we generated $85,000 in revenue from deals that we closed, and there's our cost, 6 months. Okay, yeah, we didn't even do a full year. So we generated 215 appointments right there from cold calling, right? So, but granted, that was our Egyptians. We're still working on Prop AI. Prop AI is definitely not as effective as the Egyptian cold callers just yet, but we're training AI to be better and better. Okay, I'm going to go back to the questions here. And if I missed your guys' question and you really want to ask it, please ask it again because I'll probably miss it. Cool. And if you need a closer, you know what, Lisa, if you have any deals we can close today, that's going to be my next question here in about 5 minutes when we wrap this up, is we're going to start calling people. So, Lisa, if you have anybody for me to call, I'd love to help, and then we'll definitely help connect you. Yep. Yeah. Maria did 10 years of cold calling. Cool. Smile and dial. I like it. All right, man. Good engagement today. We're almost up to 100 people on this call live, so this is really cool. Yes, Rudy likes it. He had to take breaks. Yep. Yeah, cold calling will wear you guys out. Hey, thanks, Angie. Thanks for being on here. Appreciate you. Cool. Rand is ready to bring some value. Rand's ready to close some deals, man. Let's talk. He should come across. Okay. Sorry, I've been trying to keep up the questions. Okay, what if someone tries to call the AI? Are they trained? I assume that means, are they trained to answer to those? So if we get a call, good question, Mike. What happens on the callbacks if somebody were to call back a number that we try to hit up? Got it. Yep. So if they call back, it's routing through our CRM. So we'll capture them. That's a good one. I'm glad we're doing that, Mike. That's a good answer. I was hoping we're not losing those leads. And as you guys could see, let's rewind back a little bit for this. Some people are probably like, this is awesome. This is what I need. Other people are probably like, holy cow, Casey, I'm just trying to find my first deal, right? And let me just give you guys perspective of where I was. So guys, I've delegated all this to Mike now. Mike is awesome, right? Mike's worked with me for several years. This is a much more advanced way to do this. When I was first starting, I was the one, I didn't do a whole lot of cold calling, honestly, guys, just because I spent money on other marketing channels that help. Initially I did the texting. That was one of the first things I did is I would, actually had me and my partner, or actually, sorry, he was one of the other guys working for me, but he was US based and he helped filter through the text messages. And then honestly, that was one of my first hires was Mike as a virtual assistant to start helping go through the text messages. But guys, initially it was like, I pulled all the data, I skip traced it, and then I just started text blasting it. And initially it was me going through and filtering all these. So that is one kind of first step is, guys, what I would do is, well, honestly, if you're interested, I would love to have you on our team and you can get some reps at it and feel like, hey, is this for me? And if you want to go, because it is an investment, the $99 a month is not bad for PropStream or Deal Machine, right? They're both about the same price. This launch control is not cheap. It's $800 a month, but it allows me to hit mass text people. But honestly, guys, if you're going to do one direct-to-seller marketing channel and have it be the cheapest one, I could tell you texting is the cheapest thing out there. It's cheaper than, and I do all this, right? You can see right here on the screen. We do pay-per-click. We do Facebook ads. We do SEO, right? All those things, direct mail, all those things are way more expensive than $800 a month. So one of the low-hanging fruit, if you do just want to get started, is pay the $99 a month to, well, hopefully Deal Sauce is out there and you can just pay it to Deal Sauce or Deal Machine. Either way works. But pay for that and then go start a launch control account and just start texting, right? But I would say, sorry, this was one of the questions I'm going back to. I wrote down, and now's a good time to answer it. I mentioned earlier about texting is starting to ramp down and it's becoming more and more difficult. What I would say is don't build your business around texting, but it might be again, I don't want to tell anybody, give them advice on what type of marketing to do, because texting, there is some risk, right? That when you go to text, especially, ideally don't text the do not call list. Some people text the do not call list to close deals, but I would say the safe thing is text a list. Don't go don't text to do not call list, right? But I'm just telling you, there is some risk to texting, right? If you text the wrong person on the wrong day, they could make your life difficult, okay? But texting is a great way to get it started and start getting leads. Or here's the other alternative. Just do the AI cold calling, because cold calling, while who knows with legislation and what happens, might be taken away, but right now it's not. And you could also just go get a subscription to Prop AI, around $1,000 a month. It might be a little more now. And then you can go hit 2,000 people a day, and you could cold call them that fast, right? So I'm trying to give you guys like specific, tangible ways that if you don't want to just go join our team and help us out, you could do this by yourself. Okay. All right, cool. Good. Jeff is advocating for Wild Deal Machine is better than that. That was another referral somebody had about the Egyptians. So Ashley, guys, as I mentioned, I have all my affiliates and referrals, and I've got Resimply here I showed you guys, which we're staring at right now. Mike, you can actually stop sharing now if you want. So Mike shared with you guys Resimply. That's the CRM we use. We're actually in the process of phasing that out and moving to Go High Level and building out like a much more customizable. But I'll tell you guys, Resimply is a great out-of-the-box CRM that can do everything you want. But you're going to invest at least $500 a month. But this is if you're like really want to be working a lot of leads. And this is the one, guys, I have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of leads in Resimply, because I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years. Okay. So I've got, if you guys need a referral link, I'll help you there. If you need a referral link to Deal Machine, I've got that. Same with Prop AI. So I've got all those links for you guys if you're interested. But the one we need to add, and I'm going to say this out loud for Ashley to help, let's make sure we get a referral link for the Egyptian cold callers. Because yeah, guys, I'd love to introduce you to that company. They've been one of the best. Guys, and I tried this. Let me share this with you guys. You guys I think everybody will appreciate this perspective. So I've been trying to cold call for years. Like I tried to have Mike cold call, and I tried to have Mike hire a cold caller in Pakistan. It just never worked out, and we spent a lot of money and never closed any deals. Well, this year, when I swapped over to actually a legit cold calling company, and again, these people are out of Egypt, like immediately we started getting good appointments. And because these guys were qualifying the leads, they're giving us like a breakdown of everything they talked about, all the important information, and they were booking appointments. And guys, you could see the numbers on there. We've closed a bunch of deals this year just from these cold callers in Egypt. So anyway, if you want that referral, all these referrals are on Problems to Profits with an S at the end.com, and go to my passive investing playbook. And then you'll see like a resources tab. All right, I've been talking a lot. I want to let you guys ask questions. Mike, did I leave anything out as far as, again, we just wanted to cover today, how do we pull the data? How do we skip trace it? And then how do we go get in front of those leads with the end goal of booking an appointment? Did I miss anything? Cool. Do you guys have any questions for Mike on how he does this? What is the rate you pay an Egyptian like Mike and cold caller? Yeah, so it really depends. I think our AI cold callers are around $9 an hour. You can find it cheaper. We've worked with Mike, and we've hired people as low as $3 to $4 an hour, but you definitely do get what you pay for. And we were not super successful with those. But around $9 an hour, we've gotten a little more quality with the money spent. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Mike, you can share that with them. Will you share our Resimply with our spend? You guys can see that. I shared this last week with you guys because this is actually how I set my goals in my budgets for this year, because if you know your cost per lead. Okay, guys, again, and this is an advanced thing. Don't be overwhelmed. I know I'll give you guys my perspective. Like 3-4 years ago, I was in masterminds, and they were like, you got to track your data. You got to know your cost per lead. And it was just overwhelming to do it. And it's hard to do it right away. But if you could do it from the start, the data is so powerful. So you could see here, cold calling, we've spent about $22,000 this year, but we've generated $85,000. So we're looking at about a 4-to-1 return on our ad spend, right? Direct mail, you see I spent $30,000. Well, we made $655,000 this year. I mean, that's a little bit skewed because we bought a multifamily deal that we did really well on. And then you can see Facebook on down. Google, you can see Google, we're spending a lot of money and we're still perfecting it, right? The Google AdWords. So we're basically just breaking even there, which is not ideal. All right, guys, what other questions you guys have on the direct to seller stuff? And initially, again, next week we'll go deeper into like once we got the appointment booked, how do we go from there? But I just wanted to show you guys like what it looks like behind the curtain to go generate leads. Somebody had a question. You want to go, Buck? Go ahead, Buck. Yeah, or I'll go with it, Mike. No, I appreciate it, Mike. But Yeah, it's you add anything I miss, Mike, but I would say, Buck, it's every one of these companies is a little bit different, right? They as far as what they do allow and what they don't allow, and it's constantly changing, right? But the good news is launch control gives us pretty good guidance of what we can and can't do, and it's a pretty big company, so they're trying to stay ahead of it. But what else would you add, Mike?
As far as the carriers. So thank you very much. That's very good to know.
Yep. All right, $1 million question. What time is it in Pakistan right now, Mike? 10, 11 p.m.? All right. Mike's always burning the midnight oil, working hard for us. But anyway, cool. Any other questions for Mike, guys? You nailed that answer, by the way, Mike. Told you he's a rock star. Well, cool. All right, Mike, we'll let you run. Appreciate you coming on and sharing this. This is super helpful. All right. Give some love to Mike in the chat. Cool. Thanks, Mike. All right. So really good questions, guys. And if you got any other ones, let us know. Okay, launch control has a little different option. Definitely worth trying. So yeah, he makes a really good point. Launch control is kind of integrated into it. Or it's got everything's integrated into the same system. So, and honestly, at first I thought it was more expensive, but it's really not. And I saw a couple other people commenting on how much other similar software start. Okay. In your experience, KPIs are better compared to DTS versus DTA due to lots of Sub2 members prefer DTA. I'm not experienced, but I believe DTS is better. Maybe I'm wrong. Great question. So that's Gabrielle. So it's all comes down to how much time you're going to put into this and how much money, right? If you have got the capital and the time to go direct to seller and do like what I'm doing, direct to seller is the way. I mean, you guys are okay. For some of you guys who have seen me here we're going on like week 27. We've done this for 27 straight weeks, and you guys can kind of see sometimes I've grown on it. Okay, I'll say this: direct to agent has grown on me. If you asked me when I first started, I'd be like, direct to agent is a waste of time. You're not talking to the decision maker. And when you work direct to seller leads for a long time, you're like, oh man, I got to go call this agent who's gonna stonewall me and not help me. But both are good, right? My strategy is I do both, but I'm telling you guys, there's probably a lot of you that get who's gotten defeated from direct to agent and like, this is not fun. I can't find any deals. This agent she's stonewalling me. She's a gatekeeper. She won't give me any information, right? I know earlier, I think it was Mike shared his perspective on how he's having better conversations. So there's definitely, let me rethink this answer, okay? So this is a really good question, and I could play both sides of the fence. But if you have capital and you have time, going direct to seller is a great way to do it, right? But the thing is, guys, it's not cheap. It's not ideal if you're working a W-2 job and you're trying to hustle to find your first deal and don't have enough time and money to devote to it. Then I would not jump into direct to seller because you can spend a lot of money really fast. I mean, if you go back to that screen that Mike was sharing, like, well, I can just tell you, when I'm doing my budgeting this year, we're spending like $50,000 a month on advertising, from cold calling to texting to direct mail to pay-per-click to SEO, Facebook ads. And that also includes, I think that's about it. So it's like $40,000 to $50,000 I'm spending a month, right? But guys, my goal is to do 100 deals this year. And my hope is that we're going to average around 100K per deal, right? So I'm doing it at scale. Most other people aren't there, but they're also, you don't have to go spend $40,000 a month, right? But if you had a budget of $5,000 a month, I think it would be worth it, and you had the time, right? But then you're going to talk to better leads. But guys, that's a more advanced way to do it. Did that answer that question? I don't want to scare people away from it, but I do want to encourage people that, like, if you want to make a run at direct to seller, it could be very profitable, but it's also very scary. I mean, there are times too, and it's like, I'm looking at my ad spend, and it's like, if we don't close X amount of deals, then we're losing money. So it's not for the faint of heart. But if you guys have ever like listened to the Avatar series or gotten to know direct to seller, if you go direct to seller and you were the first one talking to the lead, you're going to make the most money, and you're going to have the best deals. And I love it because I get to handpick the deals. And this is why I have my fund, right? I have Bighorn Capital Fund. And one of my big things to my investors is like, we go direct to seller. I'm not having to go buy from another we do buy from other wholesalers. And I love it when other people bring us deals, right? But we have our own direct to seller company. So we could be generating, handpicking the best deals. Good questions. So I'm going to go to some live calls here. So before, I'm going to answer a couple questions, and then I want to get into some live calls today. So if anybody has a deal that they want me to call today, I'm hoping you guys brought a couple for me. I meant to tee that up at the very beginning, but I'm going to answer a couple questions here. But if you guys have a deal, I want you to pop in the chat, and I'm going to kind of start the little waiting list here. And then next week, I want to have way, way more calls booked for you guys, for me, so I can help call your guys' sellers or your agents. Again, I don't want to, I know I ragged on direct to agent for a while, but guys, I've probably made 200 direct to agent calls in the last month, and I've loved it. We've actually been really close on a couple of good deals. So I'm happy to call agents too. But let's go to the questions here. Good question. Tammy asked, do I KPI per person or per group? You know what? We do have the capability to go in and find people leads. And then, yeah, we could pull, hey, and actually I'm doing that with my other team, my in-house team, is we have like a round robin. So what I do is I have like 3 closers right now. And they're basically we're booking they're getting the motivated leads, right? Like, which I'm not going to talk about today, but well, let me ask this. Would this be helpful for next week? Would you guys like to see, I just showed you all the this is called outbound marketing, right? Meaning we are reaching out to them and saying, hey, do you want to sell? We're texting, we're calling, we're emailing. Do you want to sell your house, right? The other side of the business is inbound. And that's like somebody sees a Facebook ad or a Google ad, or somebody's like, I want to sell my house fast, and they come to our website, right? Or we call direct mail inbound because somebody gets a postcard. They're like, oh, wow, I want to sell my house. I'm calling Casey. I'm calling YO Houses, right? That's my other side of the business. So would you guys be interested in seeing how we roll out that? Because I pulled back the curtain a little bit on the outbound. Would you guys like to see that next week? Kind of how we set up pay-per-click, SEO, all that different stuff. Because that's the more expensive stuff, guys. But they're the better leads, right? They're people who are literally like, I need to sell my house because I'm going to be foreclosed on because I'm next month, right? Or in 2 weeks. Or, hey, I'm going through a divorce. I got to get this thing sold because me and my ex-wife got to figure this thing out, right? That's where we get those leads. You get some of those from outbound, but a lot of them come from inbound. Let me go back to the question, see if you guys are interested in that. I'm falling behind. Cool. Sounds like you guys like it. All right. Let me go back and make sure I didn't miss any questions. So where do you prefer your 100? Oh, yeah. Where do you prefer your 150 unit multifamily to be? I'd love to buy one in Wyoming. That's where I have about 250 units right now that I own. But I would look at multifamily anywhere. I don't love multifamily in Texas and the South right now just because it's really tough with taxes and insurance, but I would still look at it. Okay, what if you have time but not $50K a month? Yep. So Maria, if you got great question. So I'll do a selfish promotion for myself. If you want to be on our team, I don't think it's for myself, honestly, because if you guys have worked on our teams, we're giving people a lot of reps and to do deals, right? And I incentivize our team to where we actually give a commission based off of if you book the appointment, or what we're doing, guys, is we take, let's say it's a $20,000 deal that we close and we wholesale, right? I give a certain percentage to the person who books the appointment, the person who made the offer. Sorry, we call it 3 gates, right? Gate number 1 is made the appointment. The next gate is sent out the offer or the LOI, right? The letter of intent. The next gate is actually got the contract signed. So we pay obviously more percentages based on if you do all 3 or if you do the first one or 1 and 2, whatever that looks like. So to answer your question, if you don't got the time, I would either reach out to us and join our team or go find somebody in this community, right? I'm not just going to promote our team. Like, there are so many people out there that don't have time, but maybe they got that. Maybe they don't have 50,000 to go put into marketing, but maybe they got, you know what? I'm sure there's probably somebody out there that's got $10,000 in marketing that would love to go spend it and find some deals. So that's the beauty of this community. If you don't want to join our team, there's 100 other people. Let me make sure I got all these questions answered. I know a lot of agents open to creative finance. Honestly, I was the agent. All right, I'm going to pop down. You know what? If you asked a question, I'm just going to have you pop it down to the bottom because I've definitely got far behind. But you guys have had some really good questions. So please pop it back in the chat if I did not answer it yet because I'm falling behind. So Tammy said, I had agents and sellers open to creative, but when we ask what they need per month, they change their mind. Should I have a monthly price to offer? Okay. I've had agents open a creative, but when they ask what they need per month. Yeah. So Tammy, that's a good question. And I think it's best to just get an example deal and I could call them and see what they're saying. But I have seen that too before where like you try to get numbers from them, and then everything changes. But that again, so here's my recommendation there. That's why when we run our process, it's appointment and we send out an LOI. Because once you send out that LOI with some terms, it gets people talking. And then that's what we call our due diligence phase, where we're going back and forth, we're negotiating, we're figuring out, is this deal going to work for them and is it going to work for us? Have you ever used the Revive method on multifamily? Do you use this software for multifamily deals? Corey, great question. One of my biggest multifamily deals was, oh, this is crazy. One of the ones was from direct mail this year. I bought you know what? Okay, I'll answer this, Corey. I bought, guys, a lot of you have heard this story, or maybe you haven't, but I bought a 45-unit value add in Evanston, Wyoming. We found it through direct mail, and I just need to do a full case study on it, but I'll give it to you in 30 seconds. This property is a big value add. Like, I've had my contractors there, which I actually moved out of Houston up to Wyoming. They've been there since May renovating this. And what I'm going to do is, it could be a Revive method, but what I'm doing is the seller financed me because she had it free and clear. And then I used my fund to come in and do actually a second position loan on the property. And what I'm doing is basically the BRRRR strategy. I bought it with the seller finance and then using the fund as my lender. And once we get it stabilized, I'm going to refinance, pay everybody back, and then I'll keep the asset. So kind of like the Revive method, but I have not specifically done. Yeah, that's a good point. You could, because you know what, Corey, honestly, a lot of this multifamily stuff, like, yeah, I want to keep it. But you could totally do the Revive method on it. I mean, easier scale would be an 8-plex or a 4-plex where you go in and renovate it, fix it all up, and sell it when you're all done. It could totally work. That's a good question. And then as far as using all this software, so guys, you might be asking, I get this question a lot, right? Because people are like, hey, Casey, what's your buy box? Do you do single family? Do you flips? Do you do multifamily? And my answer is I do all the above. And the reason I do is because through these marketing channels, I just find that I'll get multifamily leads. I'll get single family, right? We get a mix of it. I do have one, it's down here. One of my lists that I have actually given to students is I do have a multifamily list in Wyoming, because I don't know if you guys know this, but there's only 500,000 people in the entire state of Wyoming. So there's not that many big multifamilies. So I actually just pulled the list and I let one of my students just cold call it. That's like a more of a targeted list. And those people are much more into seller finance. I can tell you that. What kind of website do you have to attract motivated sellers? So glad you asked, Victoria. Ashley, will you just type in wyohouses.com? Or it's really easy. wyohouses.com. That's my direct-to-seller company. And I've kind of branded it as Wyoming, but now we've expanded it. And now people get LOIs from YO Houses in Georgia and Washington, Florida, all over the place. So so that's my direct-to-seller site. But that's also a very expensive thing to get going. Well, I take it back. You could set up a really cheap website through like Carrot or something. There's other ways to do it, but we've invested a little bit more money into our website to where our website now integrates with our CRM, and leads come in, they fill out their information, and they automatically get booked. But that's next week. We'll talk next week about the inbound leads. Okay, Avery's got a deal. Homeowners are young couple. I'm not going to go through all of it. They're interested in sub 2. All right, Avery, is that one is that a lead you already have under contract, or is it one I could help with calling, or what would be the best way to help with that one? How would you go about this deal? Okay, yeah, I'll break that one down. Sounds good, Avery. Hey, to answer the question, though, right above, Michael, good question. Hey, Casey, what did you do to pull your multifamily list? So this might blow your guys' mind, but a lot of my multifamily lists, I just literally pull from the state of Wyoming. Like, you could just go to the state website, and this is really cool. And I think a lot of states, this is a cool hack for you guys. Check this out. You can go to most county or state websites, and you can filter the data by unit count, right? So I literally just went and filtered it by the biggest multifamilies with the most units all the way down. And then I just went and skip traced that list, and then I started cold calling it and texting it and marketing to it that way. And honestly, also, you know what? I have not direct mailed it, which I should, because that's a really good list. I mean, if you're doing multifamily, it's a great list. Okay, I thought there's one other question before I go answer this one. Have you created a Revive method listing? You might have to clarify that one. Every Revive method we end up listing on the market, and then I use an agent to list it almost 90% of the time, if that answers it. But they're super interested in what I have to offer since they're family friend. Man, Avery, you should let me call this one sometime, but I'll give you the quick answer. So Avery's question on this deal, which, guys, now we can kind of segue into like, what are the problems you guys are facing, right? What are the deals where you stuck? Hopefully I've answered a lot of problems of how do you get through and do direct to seller, right? I know I'm going to guess a lot of people had that problem where I want to do direct to seller, but where in the heck do I start? So hopefully that helped you guys today. We're walking through that. But let me answer Avery's question. I have a single family home, 1 bed, 1 bath, 820 square feet, lakefront property. Homeowners are a young couple and have owned it for 4 years, and they owe $30,000 on the mortgage and $50,000 HELOC, and it appraised for $205. So, okay, so they're all in at $80K. I'm going to write this down, Avery. So their total debt is $80K. It's worth, ARV is $205. They are interested in sub 2 or a seller finance, really just wanting to get out of the house this spring and get the property off their hands. Sorry, my alarm was going off. So they can have time to travel and looking to move to a different state. Wow. So the big question is, Avery, they've got like roughly $100,000 of equity. Do they need to get all the cash out for the equity? That would be the main question. Is if they need all their equity out, you'd have to set up like a hybrid. But how about that, Avery? Do they need all their equity out for something? All right. Mott's got a lead. I love it. Mott, let me know if you need any help with that lead. Boy, I should have just you can actually unmute, Avery, if you want. They were looking, here you go. Avery, they were looking to get their equity out. Got it, to travel. Okay. Yeah, it's a little tough. I mean, it's by the lake. I'd have to look at the numbers. So one quick way, Avery, is if you set up like a hybrid, meaning you take over their payment, it would all depend what it would rent for, right? Do you know, is there going to be, what do you think it'd rent for? It's definitely, it's definitely not worth giving them $100K. So what I would say is, you know what? No, I was going to say you could do have them do a carryback where basically one option is you could go get a loan for 75% of the value and then get them to carry back $50K. But I'll just say this, it's going to be, if they need all $100K out, it's going to be a challenge, right? Unless that thing, honestly, I don't see that working because there's not enough cash flow in the deal to give them $100K. So what you really got to negotiate is say, hey, if we got you guys $10,000 or $20,000 to go spend on travel, and then we made payments on the rest, that would be one option. But I don't know what you mean. Or the other option is there some value add? Could you flip it, right? Could you fix it up or do any work to it and sell it for more? Okay. Yes. Yep. All right. Let's ask the group here. Who knows the answer? What strategy would Casey, now that I asked a couple more questions, what strategy would we use here? I'm going to lose everybody's questions, so I'm going to have to scroll back, but let's see how many people can get it. Pop it in the chat if you know what we do. Novation there. William's got it. Revive. Anybody else? I'm not going to answer the question yet. Michael says revive. Anybody else? I may have given it away. I did give it away. All right. Crevice. I'm assuming that's revive. All right. So here's the thing. So the reason why a novation would not be probably good is I'm assuming, hold on, my video froze. Okay. The reason why novation is not ideal, because you're probably going to, unless it's like all you're going to go do is like clean it up, right? But my threshold is 5 to 10,000. If you're putting that much in, that's when we go the revive method. So to explain the revive method really quick, I know, I think Buck gave us a quick definition earlier, but what I would do is take over the loan, and you would actually take over the property, and you would go pay the money, Avery, or maybe you go use a private money lender to fund, like, let's say that, how much money do you think you need to put into it? Yeah. So let's say you could. Yeah, man. So what I would do, if you had the cash or find a partner, go put in the 20,000, fix it up. And then what I tell the seller is say, hey, the thing is they're going to have to get out of the house ideally and find somewhere. But honestly, if they're moving to travel, that would be perfect for them. So I'd say, hey guys, I think I can get you the full 200 or whatever the price is, but I'm going to need to go in and you're going to have to transfer the deed, because the difference between novation and revive method is we're going to change the deed on the revive. Because if you're going to put 20K in there, even though you know them or it's a friend, I would not rely upon a novation contract, because you're not on the deed, they're on the deed. So put the deed in your name and then go fix it up. And then what you do is you define a profit share on the back end, right? And this could be just a fixed amount. Maybe you just agree that I'm going to get you your 100K at the back end and I get everything after that, like a novation. But you can also say, hey, I actually want to do a profit share. Like, I'm going to put in the first 20K or the first 50K to fix it. And then after that, we're going to profit share on every leftover dollar after that. Yep. Perfect. Good question. Yeah, and I think that's similar. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, great question, Avery. Cool. Go ahead. Moises has been waiting for a while. Go ahead with your question. Or maybe he was just, you're on mute still, Moises, but you're welcome to come off if you want. I'm going to go back to the question. Go ahead.
So at the end, okay, well, there's another layer to it. I qualified his son to purchase a home. So he started talking to his wife, and his wife was like, if we're going to help someone, might as well help our son. So I looked into it. I looked into the gift of equity. I kind of had it all. Right? Anything that you would recommend or that I would be able to?
Yeah. Yeah, what is that? Got it. Are you listing it or a different agent? Okay. So you can't get it moved, and then, yeah, and how much work does it, like, is there a big value add component? If you fixed it up, you could sell it for more, or? Got it. Okay. Here's what one route to go. I don't know if the numbers will work, and I used to do more of this when interest rates were good. And you guys could put in the chat what they call it. I forget which method they call this in sub 2. But basically, you would get the seller to do a carryback, right? So go get your own loan, or whoever's going to buy it gets a loan at 75% or whatever it is, and then let him carry back a portion of it to where it's no money down. So you know what I mean? It's like have the bank seller finance 75%, a new loan, right? This is assuming that the buyer can qualify. And then if this guy doesn't need all his equity, that sort of that 25% down payment he could carry back, which might give him a little bit of cash. He would carry back a little bit, but the thing is that would get the daughter or the son off the loan. You know what I mean? Because you'd pay off the current loan, get a new loan. It could be a creative way. I've done that on deals where house won't move, but I didn't want to go put 25% down because it wouldn't pencil. Well, then you just get the seller to get paid back later. Yeah, when I say carry back, they sell the house to you, you get a loan, right? But then they get a second position lien on their equity, meaning that they carry back 25% of what the sale price. Exactly. Yeah, but he's behind the new bank, right? Yeah, good question, man. That's a good one. I love it. Man, that's a more complicated one than we've had, so good job. Cool. And then Avery, I saw your message. Yeah, I thought that was the Morby method. So Avery, if you want to schedule that for next week, that'd be great. I'd love to call that lead. So that's a good one. Let's go with James. James has got a question. Fire away. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, my Wi-Fi cut out. But I do like the flexibility of a HELOC. HELOCs are great, I think, because James is right, or Pat's right, that if you could pay it as you. The other nice thing is if you have extra cash, you could pay it all down, right? But you're definitely paying less interest on a HELOC. I think the biggest piece is their equity and getting that equity out of it. Cool. All right, I'm gonna go back in the chat. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate you helping and sharing there. Cool. Hey, Mary, I did see Mary's video on there. Mary's been a regular here to Problems to Profits, and Mary's helping us on our team too, working deals. So good to see you, Mary. Okay, do any of you use paper PPL leads? Yeah, so paper leads. What they mean is PPL is paper lead, right? That's like need to sell my house fast as an example. Motivated leads. There's plenty of websites out there where you could just pay for the lead, but and we use them. They're actually really good for us in Wyoming and Montana because they're really cheap. But in places like Houston or bigger markets, you're paying like $200 to $300, maybe $400, $500 per lead. And I know I've heard a lot of people where they're reselling the lead. And well, the problem is you don't know how many. So here's the kicker, right? The way that works is that person is doing all. This is going to be a little teaser for next week. But when it comes to like the website marketing and SEO, right? Somebody is paying for that lead to click on that, like, hey, I want to sell my house fast for cash, right? But that same person might have filled out 5 other people's forms at the same time, and then they sell you that lead, right? But they also 5 other people might have got it, and then you just pay $250 for that lead, right? So that's the only downside in really competitive markets and why I don't love it. But in our, it works really good in our market. If you guys looked at the ROI we get like a 10-to-1 return, meaning like if I spend $10,000 on paper leads, I get about $100,000 return back. And again, but most guys, it's an anomaly, and that's why I like my markets up in Wyoming and Montana and Nebraska, South Dakota. They're just smaller ones, and they are just less competition. That's why I live in Houston. If you guys didn't know this, I'm sitting here in Houston today. I worked in oil and gas for 12 years. A lot left my W-2 job 2 years ago, but I still live here because I love it, love the city. But I invest in Wyoming because it's way less competition, right? And that's why my low and left behind team, the cool thing is they're helping me we do deals across the country, but when I share like my warm lead list, that's actually my deals up in Wyoming and Montana and South Dakota, places that we've been marketing and doing deals for years, and we're still closing them. So it's another cool part about joining this team is you actually get access to a smaller market, which I don't know. The pros and cons, right? It's harder to wholesale things. There's not a whole bunch of cash buyers, but if you know how to fix and flip and know how to be a buy and hold investor, it's been really good for us. Okay, is it illegal to have a seller refi cash out and buy it as a sub 2 and then wrap it to a buyer? Okay, good question. And it depends who you ask, for sure. So basically you would say, hey, seller, go refi cash out to get them some money and then buy it sub 2 and then wrap it. I mean, it could be done for sure. And I see what you're saying, Gabrielle, because you would get their money out. Like if you're saying the property's got some good equity, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's a much cleaner idea if you're not going to wrap it. But if you were going to wrap it, I would just want to make sure you disclose it to everybody involved, especially your end buyer, that, hey, this thing just got refinanced. The note could get called, and just kind of outline what's going to happen if that all goes down, right? But in theory, it could be done. And I really like it if you're trying to do that for yourself, because you're like, hey, I don't want to go put 25% down. Why don't I just have that guy refi cash out? He'll get his money out. I'll take over his loan. And especially if you buy it because they're only going to be able to refinance to like 75% of the value, more than likely. And if they're willing to sell it to you at 75%, then I really like it. You know what I mean? But also, you might have to play with their equity. You might have to give them a down payment or do like a hybrid. Yeah, that's the only thing is interest rates. Man, I love those strategies a couple years ago. Were the great ones, right? But right now, those ones are tougher. Let me see what other questions we've had. See what I missed. What's the best way to get equity out of a house to buy an investment property? Was thinking the company unlock. I was thinking the company unlock. Equals 1 out of 9. It pays for itself. Okay, interesting, Rudy. What you're asking as far as best way to get equity out of a house to use it to buy an investment. Yeah, the easiest way is to go to a bank, right? And if it's your primary residence, you can get the most capital out of it. But even if it's investment property, a lot of people might not know this. Even on your investment properties, you can go get a bank loan to 75%. We actually did a Zoom last year. If you go back into our vault, again, go to problemstoprofits.com and go to my passive investing playbook. I had a deal on raising capital, and I talked about one of the easiest ways to go raise capital is just equity in your house or your rental property, and just go do a refinance. And to Pat's point, go get a HELOC, right? Go get a HELOC on one of your properties, and then you can just use it, pay it up and down. That's one of my favorite ways, guys, to create liquidity. You just got to make sure that your HELOC doesn't expire and you lose it. But it's a good way to throttle, because in this business, if you're buying rentals, you got to have good liquidity just in case something happens. And having a line of credit you have access to is a great way to do it. Go back here to the questions. I saw Larry pop on. How you doing, Larry? Good to see you, man. Okay, if you can't, let me go back up here. You guys are having a bunch of good questions. Yes. James, do we got some leads on here? Yeah, let's kind of wrap it up. You guys have had a bunch of good questions, and I'm falling behind. So, guys, to kind of tease this up, so we're going to call a couple of my leads right now for the next 30 to 40 minutes. And if you guys have any leads I can call, I would much rather call your leads, right? That's the best way to do it. But I do want to challenge you guys. So a couple challenges for next week. Okay. I want you guys to bring deals that I can help you call and close next week. And I don't have to be closing it, even if it's just hey, Casey, I want you to call this agent for me, or call this I've had people say, hey, I want you to call my relative, see if you can help them, right? Or maybe, hey, I got this deal, Casey, I don't know how to dispo it. Like, what do I do? But I want you guys to schedule those. Ashley's going to share my link, my calendar. So there she did. Look at that. One step ahead of me. That's why Ashley's the best. But she's going to put that Google Doc in there. So within that Google Doc, you guys can go in there and go to the date, and you guys can actually plug in the time that I can call them. So that way I can call them. Ideally, let's wait till next Friday, and we can do it during Problems to Profits, but I also do allocate a little bit of time during the week. All right, but for next Friday, I'm going to challenge you guys, bring more leads, okay? We're slipping back a little bit. I know it's a new year, but I'm going to give you guys a full week to go find some deals, okay? So that's what we're going to do next week on the second half of the call. Right now, on the first half, I keep pointing back here to my whiteboard. We're going to break down. We did all the outbound marketing today, and next week we're going to do inbound marketing, right? We're going to talk about pay-per-click, PPL, which we just talked about, direct mail, radio, TV, all these different marketing channels and how we manage those leads. Because again, I want to show you guys the whole process of from step 1, I got to find a list. Step 2, I've got to create some outbound marketing, which we talked about today. Step 3, how do I create inbound leads? Step 4, how do I book the appointment? Step 5, how do I make an LOI? Step 6, how do I negotiate and get this deal under contract? And step 7, now that I finally got a signed, well, how about this? Would this be helpful, guys, if we went over how do you actually get this contract signed? How do you fill it out? How do you make sure you're using a contract that's going to hold up? Right? I'm assuming some of those things would be helpful for you guys. Right? So we're going to go through that. And let's say you got a contract. What do you do now? How do you know what title company to use? This is one thing that hangs up a lot of people is, all right, now I got a contract, but it's a creative contract. How do I get the title company to understand what the heck I'm talking about? Right? The easy answer is you use Creative Title Company, Creative Title and Escrow that Pace and Owners Club actually have a part ownership of that. So that's one easy way is go with a company that knows it, but they're still kind of scaling up and they actually still don't do deals, not yet in Wyoming and some of these places I invest. So I'll help you like, hey, how do you go present this to the title company? How do you get it done, right? So now say you got it under the title company, step 8 is, all right, now we got to go dispo it. Are we going to flip this? Am I going to sell it to another investor? How do I go put this on Investor Lift? Or how do I go share it on Sub 2? Like, how do I go find a buyer, right? And the last step is TC. How are we going to get to the finish line? All the different steps of TC. So hopefully that'll be helpful with you guys. I know I got a lot of good feedback from other people that want to see, like, how do you take a deal from I've never done a deal all the way to the end, okay? So I want to encourage you guys to bring more deals, right? I want to help you guys work your deals through. Let me go on back to the chat here. So anyway, was it any feedback though in the chat? Was this helpful the way I showed you guys and today how to do direct to seller and how to pull a list and how to get the data and Mike show you like literally with the back end? Because I could do something similar next week with our inbound marketing, but I want to get your guys' feedback. Was it helpful for Mike to kind of get on and show it to you guys? I figured I'd change it up. And plus, sometimes I get tired of talking. And it's good to have Mike or somebody else give you guys a fresh perspective. You guys liked it? Cool. Well, I'm going to go make a post. I always like to do this each week, guys. I'll go make a post in the Facebook group. And if you guys enjoyed the direct-to-seller part, please go comment on that post so other people will see it. Because our goal is we want to get even more. Man, we've been hovering over like 80 to 90 people today. I want to be able to get more people on next week so they learn inbound marketing. So I'm going to go post that in the Facebook group later this afternoon. So if you guys can go comment and share, hey, what was your biggest takeaway from Mike? That's probably going to be the big question I ask you guys on the Facebook group is what was your biggest takeaway from outbound marketing and what myself and Mike helped teach you guys. So appreciate you guys doing that. But anyway, I'm going to go now to any other questions, and then we're going to do some live calls. So if anybody's got to run to work, feel free to, but we're going to do some live calls. But I definitely want to tease it up for next week so everybody's ready and can bring us more deals. All right. Here we go. Tammy, do you have a JV agreement to use between caller and follow-up, etc.? Yes. So yes, Tammy, we have a pretty simple one where it's just like, hey, we actually do want to, you know what? We've been dropping the ball on this. Any people I ever give access to like our CRM and our data and our lists, we do an NDA to where they can't obviously go take all my data and share it with somebody else. Like no one in Sub 2 would do that, but I protect myself there. And then we also outline, hey, here's the split percentage you get for booking the appointment. Here's the one you get for closing the deal or just making the offer, right? So yeah, we'll have like just a very simple kind of one-pager contract there. But just know, guys, here's one thing I've learned with No One Left Behind. Like, it's really good to document everything and know what you're going into, but sometimes until you close a deal, you really don't know what it's all going to look like. So sometimes you got to be kind of fluid and just roll with it. And then once you do one of them, then you can really, that's when you can kind of standardize. So I'm just sharing that with you guys that partner with other people. Like, it's good to, don't go create like a full LLC without having like really well thought out like roles and how it's all going to work. But if you just want to go JV on a deal, like just work together and get it going, right? Don't feel like you got to have all the answers. I mean, the more you can outline on the front end, the better, but don't let that stop you from working with somebody and doing a deal. That's the big thing I want to teach you guys. Okay. Did you see any questions I missed, or should we go? Let's open the spreadsheet right now and make some calls. And for those of you guys, I'm going to show you exactly how this spreadsheet works. Let me share my screen. And if I missed any questions, feel free to pop it back in the chat. We'll see. My computer might go a little bit slow. Okay, so Ashley put this in the chat. I love it. Avery's going to go download. Hold on a second. Okay, so let's go to, man, now it's all disappearing on me. Let me go to, there it is. Actually, I should have just had Ashley. Ashley, will you pop that link in there for my schedule so I can just click it? There it is. I knew she was 1 second behind me. Okay, so guys, if you click open, this is to schedule a call with me, right? So you got to scroll all the way to the right. I know it's a pain. Maybe I'll start doing it based on the newest times, right? But if you go here, so this is next week, all right? But here's today's call, right? Man, 11:15, sub 2 member. Sorry, Ashley, or unless that was our Ashley. We did not call that one, but I'm going to call that one. So guys, this is how you start to book the calls. You go stick them in here. Keith has got one. Oh, this is the guy in Laramie. So anyway, what you guys do in here, James, that's why James was asking. James, you're going first. I'm going to call your guy. But guys, all you have to do in here is go pop these leads into this calendar. Put as much information as you can. The more of these fields you can fill out, the better. And that helps me get ready for the call, and we'll take it from there. So let's call James's lead. All right, so James, let's give James some feedback on how he did it. So James did a good job. He's got the link here to the property, which you guys will be able to see. All right, look at that beauty in Fort Worth. Wow, it's almost camouflaged. Love the color. Okay, and then let me go back here to
Casey.
Okay, that's okay. Yep, exactly. Yeah, don't push them back. It's hard enough with these agents for sure. So great job by James on that, guys. So I encourage everybody to take it. I'm glad you mentioned that, James. So I encourage anybody who's making a call, take the call as far as you can, right? And James did, right? James took it to where the guy's like, hey, like, give me a break. I want to talk to Casey. Like, don't push him. Don't ruin it, right? But if you guys are able to, like, this is a great way for you guys to develop to where you guys could take it to, I talked about the gates, right? From appointment to LOI to contract. Take it as far as you can. And when you get stuck, then that's when I'll call them. So I'm going to call this one right now, guys. It's on me. I called him 15 minutes late. Hopefully he didn't have a noon meeting. Matthew.
Please leave your message for...
All right, let me shoot him a quick text. Ashley, is that your lead up there a little higher up? That's, I assume, the one you booked for me, right? Okay. I can go anytime. Perfect. Let me 3544 Coronado. Feel free to bum me again. I didn't realize that one was in there, James. I feel bad we didn't hit our timeline. Not the first or the last, but definitely want to be better there. All right, let's go back into here. I've got a couple other ones, but yeah, and this one's Keith. So why don't we try this guy in Laramie? So this is a cool one that Keith booked for me. Keith was telling me about this one this morning. It's in Laramie. This is where I bought my first ever rental property 10 years ago, so I know this area really well. Look at these notes. Hold on. You guys want to see some rock star notes? I don't expect this from everybody, but if you really want, okay, cool. Here you go. Check out the notes here. I'm going to put it in the chat. This is how well Keith did. Oh, dang it. It's so long you can't put everything in there. All right, I'm going to have to delete it. A couple things because you only get 1,000 characters in the chat. So check this out. This is just half of his message, right? You can see both husband and wife retired, looking to buy a new house in place. Will roll full proceeds into the new house. Lots of good information. So this really helps tee me up for this call, and I can kind of jump in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in right like into this deal because I know. So they're going to roll all their money into the new, slightly more expensive house and use extra money from elsewhere to help pay cash. Oh wow! So they want to pay cash for the next house, basement. And so the cool thing about this house is it could potentially be like a duplex. I'll come back to your question in a second. Tammy should inquire what has helped Ken from putting in basement. Okay. Yeah, because basically this guy wants to update the basement. It could be worth more. Not interested in seller financing or anything along with long payments because they're rolling everything in there. Basically doing a house swap. Would put house up for sale when they find a property. Okay. Ideally want to close slow to prevent needing to hold on to a bridge loan for too long. Okay. Yeah, this is a pretty interesting one, but I'm going to call it just because I like Laramie. I know this area, and there might be a solution. And if anybody can do this one, it's us, just based on we're definitely the number one home buyer in Laramie. That's for sure. Let's give it a try. And then hopefully, although before I do that, yeah, we didn't hear anything back from our other deal. Hopefully our Fort Worth lead will call us back. All right, here we go. We're going to call Ken. Okay, no, good to know, Keith. No kitchen in the basement. Hey, Ken, this is Casey Gregerson. How are you? This is Casey Gregerson. I work with Keith. Keith talked to you about the house there in Laramie on 13th Street. you guys are eventually planning to sell. Yeah, you got it. Cool. So I actually, I grew up in Sheridan, Wyoming, and I've got about, you know what, at this point, we probably have 6 to 10 properties in Laramie. I bought my first one over on Park Street back when I went to school at UW. So anyway, I know Laramie a lot. It's honestly one of my favorite markets in the whole state of Wyoming. So anyway, I've actually got enough properties now to where I've got a full-time maintenance guy to help me manage them. So, and we do a lot of little fix and flips. Oh, I see where you're at. You're right behind. I've got a house on 802 South 10th Street, which is honestly about 2 blocks from you. I don't know if you remember that one. Yeah, that's a great area right there in the tree area. Cool. Well, anyway, love the house. And you know what? That's funny. Keith was catching me up. He told me that you guys had kind of thought about splitting this up into 2 different units maybe, or at least getting more bedrooms, but you guys just haven't done the egress thing yet? Got it. Do you have is there a kitchen down there or no?
No.
Okay. Got it. All right. And I'm going to turn this up to make sure I can hear you, Ken. But so no kitchen. Do you know how it's zoned? Have you ever looked at because what I'm wondering is if I would love to buy this and make it turn it into a duplex, but do you know have you ever looked into the zoning? Okay, I can do that. No worries. Because here's kind of what I'm thinking, Ken. I don't want to waste any of your time because I know Keith on our team, he did a good job of giving me a full breakdown of everything you guys talked about, kind of as far as your plans to buy the next house and pay cash and use some other cash and just basically you just want to have no debt, huh? Yeah. I don't blame you. A lot of the people I work with, they're the same. They're just at this point in their life, they're like, you know what? We don't need to take out another loan. Let's live a little simpler. So here's what I would propose. And it sounds like you guys are still a little ways out from doing this, but when you get closer, the way you could just go list the property, as you know, you wouldn't have to use us, but where we could potentially help you out is I would use my crews. I would go in there and do some updates. Like, for example, we've done egress windows all the time in Laramie. So I know one thing for sure is we would install the egress windows so we could get the extra bedrooms. Cause I don't know, do you feel like, Ken, if we did some small things like that, we could sell the house for more than it's currently at?
Any judgment at this point?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Egress would certainly add value.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I would keep in mind, Keith, I meant to say Keith. Keith, help me out, but Ken, no worries. So what I would say when the time's right, Ken, I would love to come look at it and figure out, is there an opportunity for us to go in and do, for example, put in egress windows, do a couple other updates, and if we can go, I could pay my guys to go in there, fix it up, and if that allows us to sell the house for more money, and you get what you want, and we make a profit. That's how I work with a lot of people in a situation like this where they just want to maximize all the cash they can get out of the house, right?
Just use something for both of us.
You got it.
Yeah, I could follow and take a look. Like I said, we're probably 1 to 6 months
away. How much? That makes sense. Good. You're a smart guy. I can tell, Ken. You probably have you always lived in Laramie, Ken, or where are you from? Okay. Got it.
Professor at the university.
Got it. Okay. What do you teach at UW? Geophysics. Got it. I was a petroleum engineer, so I did my master's work under Vladimir Alvarado, if you know them. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Good name, yes.
Yep, Vlad from, yep. Yeah, that's funny.
He's a funny guy. Yeah, I used to interact with him, not anymore.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, give me a call.
Okay, we could do that. Let me ask, last thing before I let you run, because I just want to make sure that the numbers will be there because I'm going to do a little bit more homework, but do you kind of have a number in mind? I don't know if what do you think is kind of fair market value of the house right now? Yeah, that's a good answer. That's the correct one. I'm looking at the same thing. Okay. Got it. Okay. Yeah. And
egress upgrade on the bottom basement. It's sunk in, if you're wondering, there's windows down there. It's about 3/4 sunk.
Okay.
So it about 4 foot above ground, so there's some natural light. So, and it's pretty well finished. So yeah, you guys are welcome to proceed with your thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, I think that'll be the key is, you know what? That's what I want to do. I want to get over I'm going to probably send over one of my partners, Derek. Do you know Derek Calling by chance?
No, I don't.
Okay, that's okay. I'll have Derek come by because Derek will give us a good idea of how much value, what we think we could sell it for by adding egress. And then he's good. He's also, he works closely with my contractors and he can help us get some numbers. So yeah, let me, if it's okay, is it good if I share Derek's number with you?
Sure.
Okay. And then I'll just have him text you and he can line it up. And once he comes over, then we can propose a couple options for you.
You can't proceed very much until you get some eyes on the place.
Bingo. Cool.
What's his name again?
Derek. Yeah, Derek Calling. Calling. Colling. Calling. Or Calling. Yeah. Yep. You got it. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate you.
All right. Bye.
All right. See ya. Cool. All right, guys. This is a good one. I mean, obviously, I was teed up for that one really well by Keith. He had a great pre-call and great notes. But see any other comments? So, yeah, you guys can kind of see, that was a good example, too, how it's really easy for me to build rapport in a place like that I know, and I can have a lot of common ground with them. But where I was trying to go with that is I think the revive method is probably the best bet for that guy, because if we can go in and add egress windows, which if you guys don't live up in areas that do egress, basically digging out these 4x4 windows will now count extra bedrooms and might be able to get this house up to where it's worth, like Keith was saying in the comments, it might be worth $500,000. And if we can go put $20K into it with my crews and we can now sell it for 500, then there's some possible profit there. And the way we would structure it is I would make sure, I mean, that's what's going to be tricky is if we're just going to have to protect ourselves to where if we go put the money in, and again, okay. I didn't go too far on that, guys, because I haven't even seen the house. I didn't try to negotiate the revive method or even run numbers, but I'm just planting that seed. You guys see how I planted the seed of like, hey, would you be open if we go in and do some value add? I love how he summarized it. He's like, so you guys are going to go, what'd he say? I don't think he said lipstick, but he said, you guys are going to go give it a facelift and we're going to do a win-win situation. So he pretty much stole the words out of my mouth and summarized it. So what I do next, guys, is now, so this is a really good tip for you guys that are buying in markets that you don't have boots on the ground on, right? Or you're not living. So I'm sitting here in Houston today. Keith, who worked this today, is ironically sitting in Houston as well. Not the same place, but both in Houston. But what we're going to do is I've created relationships with agents. So Derek is a guy I've worked with. And did you see how I hyped him up? I'm like, hey, Derek's a good guy. Do you know him? He's going to come look at the house. I said his name multiple times. So now what I have Derek do is Derek is my agent. He goes and reaches out, and he's going to go look at the house. And once Derek goes over there, then we can start talking numbers. And sometimes I'll send an LOI first. Like, okay, let me tell you guys this. If I was in some market that I had no connections in, no idea like who I'm even going to send, I would actually send an LOI right now because I wouldn't want to go through all the hassle and waste somebody's time to go try to find somebody boots on the ground if the guy wasn't even motivated enough. So, because I have no idea, guys, if the numbers are going to work on this. But here's what I do know, and this is a really, really good tip, especially when you're working with agents, right? Because I've created a relationship with this guy, Derek, but this could be John in Minneapolis or Laura's down in St. Louis, right? If she's an agent. I get to know these people and they're going to get a listing. So here's the thing about Derek. I know it's not a waste of time for Derek. Even if this guy wants retail, well, guess what? Derek's an agent. Derek's going to go over there. And if it turns out that there's no way I can help this guy, guess what I do? I say, you know what, Derek, run with it. You get the listing. Sometimes I get paid a referral fee, but honestly, a lot of these agents do so much work for me that I don't even worry about it. I'm like, you know what? We'll just put it on the next one, right? Because these guys list my flips. They run comps. Because, guys, I talked about this a couple weeks ago, and now you get to see an example of it. I talked about how I work with agents and do LOIs and run the whole process. I have not run any comps on that. All I did is look at I know Laramie pretty good. Keith did a little bit. But I'm going to rely on Derek, who has local market knowledge, and he's the local expert. I'm going to let him run the comps and let him tell me what we could sell this thing for, rather than me going and trying to figure out how am I going to underwrite this deal, how am I going to make sure I get the right comps. Like, I let Derek go do it, and then I know it's much more accurate, right? And ultimately, Derek's going to, if I decide to do the revive method where I fix it up and we sell it, guess who's going to list it? Derek, right? So this is a good way for some of you guys who are thinking about, hey, I want to do deals, and even if it's in your backyard or it's not, like, this is a good way to go help build out a team without any cost, right? Derek's not on my payroll. Derek just gets paid when I flip a house, or Derek gets paid when I can't help this guy and I give him the listing. It's a really cool way to work with agents. All right, let me go to the questions. Yep, always talk up your people. Cool. Any other questions on that one? Let's see if while I let you guys ask questions, let's go back to the call form. Good job on that one, Keith. So Keith, I'll let you set up Derek. I'll let you take it from here. Just let Derek, Judith will help you, but Derek's one of our best agents. All right, let's do a quick follow. You know what? Actually, I told this guy I would call him today. He's in Cheyenne. So guys, here's another follow-up from a deal that reached out to us we actually reached out to this guy from No One Left Behind. Perfect example of the follow-up, guys. I kind of planted the seed on like, hey, here's how we do creative finance. He's like, yeah, it might work. I'm not sure, but he was open to it, right? I had a good conversation. He texted me yesterday. He's like, hey, Casey, our sellers are a little bit more into creative finance. We'd love to talk. I'm like, all right. Well, why don't I just call you tomorrow on Problems to Profits? So let's do that follow-up call right now. So this is a house in Cheyenne, Wyoming. We're going to call, you know what I did not do is I did not write his phone number down. 3017. I got 10 more minutes, guys. Let's see if I can get a hold. This will probably be our last call. Hey, Ben, how you doing? It's Casey Gregerson. Hey, good to hear from you, man. What's new? How was the New Year's? There you go, man. What do you think? Are we gonna heat back up like we do every spring, or what do you think is gonna happen?
So we'll see. Interest rates, I think, will be the biggest factor right now. When they're hovering around 7, people are apprehensive. When they drop down to 6.25, it seems people will start moving.
Yeah. I didn't see the latest, right? So the Fed dropped the last one, but they said they were not planning to drop again. So the 30-year
does not dictate mortgage rates. Mortgage rates can be affected by the Fed rate and usually are, but the comments after they announced that they were dropping the federal rate turned off a bunch of people, and so even though the federal rate went down, mortgage rates went up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're probably based on projections, right? They're assuming that it won't drop.
So the Fed drop that they were announcing, if there's a federal announcement, it's already baked into mortgage rates prior to that public announcement.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good way to state it. Yeah, that's a really good way. I mean, not too many people can articulate it like that, but that makes sense. Okay. Well, cool. Let's talk about this one I got the first one pulled up on, I got the one on Belair. So yeah, maybe tell me more. So I got your text pulled up too. Yeah. We're talking about it. You basically said, so Belair, their payment is $1,100 a month. They owe $186. Yeah. What do you think? The biggest piece is their equity, right? Do they need all that? That's the hardest thing for me to get them. I can get them over time, but give me some feedback.
6, the amount of money that they can make work. So.
Okay. So they owe 186. I know you guys are listed around 350.
315.
315, yeah, 315. Okay. So loan amount. And are they going to rent in their next place where they move to, or do you know what their plan is?
I think they're in base housing right now.
Got it. Oh, okay. And then are they moving out of Cheyenne, or they're just moving?
They're moved out of Cheyenne.
Okay. Oh, okay. So they've already got out. So the house, oh, wow. So this is vacant, basically costing them $1,100 every month, basically.
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, that makes sense. These are the perfect ones, honestly, where it's like somebody's like, because eventually, yeah, you'll just bleed out, right? If you're losing $1,100 a month. Is that $1,100 taxes and insurance all in? Do you know? Okay. So it's probably baked in. We could verify that later. So yeah, so here's the kicker, right? I think, as you know, Ben, if we can get them the 315 number, we just need, what I would propose is a 5-year balloon. We would get them, I could definitely get them 5 to 10K up front, but if they need like 50K up front, then I'm going to have to discount the purchase price, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So do you feel like, should we try to propose something around, what do you think? Like if I can do a low down payment and then give them a balloon in 5 years, the beauty is that we could close this by the end of the month, and I want to make sure you get paid too, but the beauty is it won't take long, and we don't have to run them through the ringer with appraisals and inspections because we don't need an appraisal. What do you think, though?
It's a $315 purchase price.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it's only going to be about 5 to 10K down to get them the full, because the other thing we got to figure out is your commission, right? I want to be able to pay you. So either way, I might say all in if I'm paying a full market value, and obviously I don't need to be paid on it, but I would say 10 to 15K, and that would need to be part of that going to you and getting them some, right? But also, if they're like, we need 50, we could do that, but the price is going to significantly. And I can propose that. I can give you 2 options on an LOI. Okay. Yeah.
And that might be worth.
Bingo. Yep. Okay. All right. I'll work up that LOI and as you know, give us some feedback. But and as far as like, I think you told me, what do you think that thing would rent for? $1,550. And it's a 3. This is a 2-2, huh? Or is there bedrooms in the basement?
Basement.
So that would be a 3rd bedroom. So it could be a 3. So it could be a 3-2, huh?
Yeah.
So it's basically a 3-2. Just probably not egress windows, I'm assuming.
Don't believe so, no.
Okay, that's all right. Okay. All right. Well, I think that I just want to prepare you when you see it. Like, it's not gonna be a ton down, but we'll take over that payment. We just need it. Hopefully it makes sense. We just need time to let time be on our side. You know what I mean? Okay, cool. And then, because basically we'll take over the payments. We'll give them, like you say, 10 to 15K down. And then I could do a higher one, and then the rest of it will be due in 5 years and just one big balloon payment. And then it'll be secured with a mortgage. Okay. So is there anything different on the second one, or is it similar situation? I just need to. Okay. 237 bent. And then you said 237 bent, and they owe 293. That's tough. Unless there's like that one's we'll probably just pass on that one. Unless there was work that they needed done and you thought that we could sell it for a lot more.
You know, there's some work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Like reciting the house, you're just going to get whatever you pay for reciting is what you're going to sell it for.
Okay. Now I see what you mean. But they need, yeah. So we can resend this one, but I do remember this one now. I pulled up the photos because there's not a whole lot of equity. Like we would basically be able to just take over that one, pay the agent, maybe give them 5 to 10K. But the loans got to stay in their name as the kicker, like, because that's the value for us. Yep. Do you think that's still worth writing up or an LOI? I mean, yeah. And it's even stronger, right? Like we'll run it through an escrow company to where like it'll show the property sold and they'll be able to show them the escrow documents of like, hey, this is being paid every month, and it's
it's still a lease agreement, so you know it's just comes down to debt ratios.
Makes sense
as long as their lender's comfortable with it.
Yeah, I agree. Their lender's got to let them because they just want to buy something bigger, or
they want something out in the county, not necessarily bigger.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, okay, cool. Well, that sounds good. Well, let me. I'll still throw an LOI out there so you can share it with them, but it's going to be, not a whole lot of cash out. And then honestly, then you could, if they want to share that with their lender, they could, if they want it for another option. Awesome. Well, any other questions for me? Didn't want to take too much of your time today. I'm pretty sure I do. You know what? If not, just text it to me.
Sounds good.
And then we'll send you those LOIs and go from there.
Perfect. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben.
Yep, have a good
All right, see ya.
Bye.
All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up and give a quick debrief here. Let me make sure I didn't book another call. I know I had something at 12:30 today. 1 second, then we'll debrief this. Okay. All right, guys. So, on that one, so my first step, so Tammy had a good question. I was told to do at least 7 to 10 years, but you mentioned 5. I just find people are more open to 5. I need to be better about just pitching 7 to 10. I typically say 5 to 10 is my kind of talk track. I'll be like, hey, we might do 5, might do 10, but 7 to 10 is absolutely always better. And that first deal might work, right? So we need to put together, I know Ashley's going to help me out with an LOI there. So I would say 1,100 is the PTI. I think we need to just give them I would start low and say $10,000 down, and then we pay the rest in 5 years, because that one would cash flow and it'd be a great wrap, especially in Cheyenne. And then on the second one, I think we probably need to be similar. Like we'll take over the loan amount at $293,000, give them $10,000, and maybe even we could offer them $20,000, and just see what they say. And again, the nice thing is, guys, we haven't seen these houses, so we could kind of still go back, but I would offer on Bent, I would say we'll give them $20,000 down and take over the mortgage payment. And the mortgage payment on Bent is $23.26 per month. Man, that's going to be tight though, because we're going to have to wrap that one. You know what? I take it back. We're going to have to do that one at like 10,000 down because their payment's so high. Honestly, that one on Bent is a very long shot, so I don't think it's going to work. But any guys, what other questions? I see Chris asks 2-year possible. Yeah, I'm not sure if Chris means do a 2-year balloon. 2-year balloon is definitely too short. I would never recommend that. I'm actually looking at one deal like that, but it's just really good terms. Cool. All right, Corey had to hop off for a Suns game. Anyway, thanks, Mason. Appreciate all the kind words. Glad it was helpful. All right, guys, any other questions before we kind of sign out for today? It's been an awesome call, guys. So again, let's that's a hot air balloon. I love it. Yeah, a 2-year deal would be a very hot air balloon on that one. Love it, James. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in today. We will be back next Friday, and as mentioned, we're going to be doing the next phase of like direct to seller marketing. Hopefully it was valuable for you guys today. The engagement was incredible. This is the most I've ever seen happening in the chat. I could hardly keep up with it. So appreciate you guys. Please, please, please go comment in the Facebook. Share this with other people. If we can get more people on next week, guys, that's what means the most for me, is that we can continue to grow this and bring more people value. So if you guys, that's always my biggest ask is, other than bringing deals yourself for next week, please bring somebody new with you, right? Go find a newbie, invite them to next week's, tell them how much you learned, tell them what your big takeaway was, and tell them they better get their butt. Problems to Profits next Friday. We'll see you guys.